Hello and welcome everyone to this Warcraft replay. This is going to be the first of a best of 3. Let's switch over to an observer really quickly, as we don't want to hear those rally points. Undead vs Orc here on the map Echo Isles. This is from Group D WCA Chinese Qualifiers of 2015. What a mouthful, and I've been saying that for months and months. Actually almost a year, because literally I have been casting WCA for the past year. Not only 2015, but also 2014. That just shows how long it takes for me to actually finish one single tournament. I remember it took me a little while for me to complete AWL. It took me a while to do WEC. Yeah, now it's WCA. And of course, WCA Southeast Asia, basically Korea, has been completed a couple of days ago, I guess. It was casted by a Warcraft player that I can't remember. It's really bad because I have no idea who it is, and it was a really, I've casted him before and I just can't remember. But yeah, it was also casted by Back to Warcraft, of course. And yeah, it's pretty interesting to see that. Won't spoil the finals, but I will say the players who did participate: Lucifer, of course, Korean Undead, there was Email Fans, there was Reprisal, as well as Loliet. Yes, lots of Koreans. I'm pretty sure it was Korean, but it said Southeast Asian, so I'm guessing it's including other regions. But either way, back to this game. WFZ spawning in as the blue undead. He will be going for an extremely late Death Knight. I say extremely late because if you didn't notice, it was an extremely early graveyard. In fact, the graveyard was the very first building placed down from WFZ. So I don't know the entire motive behind this, but yep, WFZ currently is kind of behind in terms of, you know, positioning in the game. Right now, Fly is going to take out the creep camp, selling himself that item, which I completely did not see. Oh, never mind. He sold the TP scroll and kept the ring of protection. He will be harassing straight away, and WFZ going for this extremely late Death Knight does mean he's going to be extremely late in terms of his skeleton harassment. I was also going to mention, you know, the possibility of maybe a tavern hero, but undeads don't usually pick tavern heroes, especially high level undead players in 1v1 scenarios. Maybe in team play that might be a little different, but the Blade Master is going to steal that item and is also going to be a +6 claws of attack. That's extremely disheartening for an undead because, you know, not only did you give the Blade Master a +6 claws of attack, it's also that you just didn't get any item for yourself. Actually, I should have reversed that order because it seems like the very first point was the most impactful. But either way, Crypt Fiend is getting hunted down by the Death Knight. The Blade Master is going to get healed up for a second time, but it seems like that's just not going to be enough, as good blocking there from Fly's Grunt, as well as just constant you know, chase from the Blade Master will end up with a Crypt Fiend kill there. And I think WFZ is slightly behind now, as his really gimmicky opening netted him pretty much nothing. I mean, he could have easily taken out the camp before with, you know, Crypt Fiends alone, or maybe just bring along a couple of ghouls, but that did not happen. And of course, WFZ is stuck on 2 ghouls for a little while, which did result in an extremely late tier 2, as you can see Fly just about to finish his. So yeah, not a good start for WFZ. Alright, Fly on the other hand does have the double salves as well as the speed scroll. Is getting slightly harassed by the skeleton, but nothing too major. The item is going to be the Gloves of Haste from the Ogre Magi and a level 2 for the Blade Master. Yeah, pretty good start for the Orc player so far. Fly is definitely one of those orcs that still remain relevant to this day. I also remember Focus is in the C qualifiers as well, so if you want more orc action, then Focus is your man. Blade Master. Oh, I guess I missed that. The marketplace was taken out by the Death Knight. In fact, only the Magi was, and the Death Knight picks himself up the Wand of Mana Stealing. Pretty easy trick to do. All you have to do is basically block the entrances with your skeletons, and then just, you know, solo out the Ogre Magi, and then run away after that. Was definitely done for WFZ. It is going to be interesting what route he's going to go for. Turn Chieftain is out for Fly as well. So Fly, I guess this leads in pretty well with the point that I was going to discuss. Berserker Strength is also being researched there for Fly. So Turn Chieftain means Fly is probably anticipating a Crypt Fiend focus from WFZ. I think this is just me, like, you know, theory crafting right now, because there's not much undead orc matchups, and so it's very difficult for me to actually, you know, assume things. Seems like the warrior was taken out by the Death Knight, as well as the sentry was being picked up from him as well. So WFZ might be going for a Crypt Fiend focus build here. We will have to see. There's going to be an early tier 3 as well as the Lich and Slaughterhouse, so yeah, we'll have to see if WCA goes for more than 2 obsidian statues at a time, because that is going to pretty much set the tone of the game. As you can see, Fly didn't actually place down a Spirit Lodge, and that is basically because number one, there's not much to disenchant against your opponent, your undead opponent, and number two, Spirit Link is literally there to feed your opponent's destroyers, so it's pretty much bestiary focused here from Fly. He also has the expand coming down on the bottom right as well, so there's a slight timer there for WFZ. Undead's not well known for their late game, and when your opponent is, you know, is 2-basing, it's even lower of a win chance there. So what Fly is doing with the bestiary only, probably double Kodo, lots of Raiders as well. Raiders really well matched against those Crypt Fiends as well as Destroyers. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Mass Raiders and Mass Kodo Beasts. As you can see there, Ensnare's a really good picking off tool there, as the Turn Chieftain is also a very good picking tool, as the War Stomp can just solidify that Ensnare even more, just chain the CCs. So it seems like Fly is currently just farming the Storm with his Turn Chieftain, meanwhile his Blade Master is just gonna harass. Crypt Fiend is borrowed. The Dust is in that Blade Master's inventory, but oh, the Crypt Fiend did unburrow itself, and it doesn't actually know that the Blade Master is near him. As soon as the Tome got picked up, WC should have realized that the Blade Master is nearby. Another Frost Armor is going to be placed down onto that Crypt Fiend, and it's going to hinder the Blade Master even further. Level 3 Death Knight, so level 2 Death Coil should be in play. WFZ is going for a Destroyer form tech, but I'm pretty sure he's only 2 Obsidian statues right now, so I don't think it's going to be a Destroyer focus from him. I think it's just there, you know, to last minute transform those statues into Destroyers if he needs it. Kodo Beasts are really vulnerable against Destroyers, but they're really good against Crypt Fiends. But it doesn't really mean WFZ is going to go for Destroyers, because those Raiders are there. They're really pesky appearances, as they can ensnare Destroyers. Pretty much like how Crypt Fiends can web any air unit. So we shall see, as Seems like WFZ is on the offensive right now. But Fly is ready in response. 56 versus 47. A 9 supply difference here, but remember, we have 5 peons over here, so that's 5 food supply dedicated to a second gold mine. Voodoo Lounge looks like it's going to be cancelled. And Double Kodo is here, so Fly should be able to do well in this matchup in the current state. Silence is going to be used onto the Terran Chieftain to prevent him from getting a good War Stomp down. Dark Ranger, as you can see, is right over there at level 1. Will we go for a War Stomp there? Nope, no units are in range, and Snare pretty much has to set things up here. Silence as the Terran Chieftain lifted up his legs. There we go, War Stomp, and should chain that up with an Ensnare, otherwise just Mass Focus. As you can see, the double Kodos have pretty much double devoured. So that's, you know, huge amount of supply just out of the fight as well. Troll Headhunter is also in the mix here. Probably not the best against those Crypt Fiends, as they are medium armored, but just in case any destroyers make their appearances. Blade Master is going to go on a rampage. He is going to chase down the Dark Ranger there. Silence is being placed down onto the Terran Chieftain once again, but Silence should run out as it is only level 1 Silence. But he does not go for it. Obsidian Statue almost taken down by that one Grunt, but the Grunt will lose interest and just get killed. Oh, there we go, Troll Headhunter, very heroic. But the Terran Chieftain is getting bursted down with the Nova and the Death Coils, and it seems like the Focus Fire was enough. The Terran Chieftain gets taken out at level 3, but it seems like the Tavern is right there, and the Terran Chieftain makes another appearance. Blade Master is chasing down the Dark Ranger, but the Terran Chieftain has to be careful not to get taken down himself. Dark Ranger gets taken down at level 1, so that's not too big of a loss there, as she can just be revived very quickly. And the Terran Chieftain appears to have escaped, unless another Death Coil comes out, but the Death Knight is very low on mana. It seems like the health potion was used to keep that TC alive. TP Scroll will be used as the Death Knight just realizes he is a little too deep. So yeah, that was a really good fight for Fly. I was surprised that he was gonna continue to chase. Normally, Orc players, wow, 3 Kodos as well. Normally with, you know, people with double Kodos are satisfied with just devouring and just backing off, because it's literally just free kills. All that you need to do is just wait for these units to, you know, digest and then just engage again. But Fly, really aggressive. He continued to fight and fight and fight. Thankfully he was able to reduce his opponent's army down to a fairly low supply army. 40 versus 57. And of course we have to remember that Fly is on 2 bases. He can afford to lose, you know, a fair number of units because he can afford to replace them. Otherwise, on the other hand, WFZ, not so much. He is very close to losing his, or depleting his very first gold mine. Around about 7 minutes, I should say. That's usually the standard time for an unharassed gold mine. Alright, Dark Ranger reached level 2 and the skeletal minions should start spawning up. And yeah, while the Blade Master is just keeping tabs, while the Terran Chieftain is soaking up all the experience for himself. Level 4 Terran Chieftain, that is level 2 Endurance Aura. pretty good at amping up the Blade Master during, you know, huge fights, as well as speeding up the Orc unit. Speed is really important, especially from the Terran Chieftain getting in position for a good War Stomp. Yeah. 67, doesn't look like Fly is going to slow down in terms of his production. +1 armor upgrades as well for every Orc unit is on the way. Yeah, just a lot of things going down for Fly. He's He's very close to getting up to 80 food supply for his entire army. He's currently 70. Triple Kodos, Headhunters, Grunts, Raiders, and Wyverns. Wow, talk about well-rounded comp there. Both players are taking out their respective bottom corner camps. Blade Master dealing some harassment, nearly taking down the Obsidian statue over there. Could maybe go for it since it is ensnared, but with the frost armor there, it's giving the Blade Master second guesses. And it seems like both turtles will be taken out. The Talisman of Evasion gets picked up for the TC. Meanwhile, I have no idea. I guess +3 Ring of Protection. Yeah, that would make sense. Normally, normal creep camps have +2. +3 is probably not that great, but I think, you know, since the Blade Master is such a pain in the ass, maybe the armor will be kept, but it will not. Nova Coil to open up with. However, the Raider does not get taken out. That is a bit of a problem there. You know, a lot of mana invested into pretty much nothing happening. We also have a missed Death Coil. I believe the Death Knight healed up the very close to max health Lich, and now the Lich gets focused down. Meanwhile, the very low Griffin gets healed up by the Death Knight. Talk about missed timings, and this is looking really bad for WFZ. Fly is just going to steamroll this army, and he's not even devouring with his Kodo Beasts. Another good War Stomp there, able to pick off another Crypt Fiend. It seems like the Lich could get ensnared, but it seems like the Crypt Fiends are just the main focus. Turn Shifter needs to be a little careful as he is being focused down, you know, by those Crypt Fiends. He does have a health pot just in case. Death Coil gonna heal up the Lich, but yeah, the Turn Chieftain just a little too strong there, and WFZ is going to give the GG. Fly taking the series 1-0 in a pretty decisive game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this first game. I will see you guys in game 2. Take care.